The first question is going to be, why are you running for Congress?
Well, I decided to run for a couple of reasons. One, the first reason is, just like everybody else probably watching this interview, is kind of tired of the way our government's being run. Right? I'm tired of voting for candidates that when they were on the campaign trail, they were running as a conservative Republican, promising for fiscal responsibility and conservative legislation. And I spent my valuable vote on them based on what they promised. And then once they get to Washington, D.C., things kind of seem to turn in a 180 there, and they end up not voting the way they were promising to. Or if I have a question, I don't get a response. They didn't have a problem responding during the campaign, but once we send them up there, they kind of forget who we are. And so I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like I'm not being represented the way I want to be. So, if there's something I don't like, I want to stand up and do it myself. I better be willing to do that, and I am. And another reason I'm running is being a high school teacher at the high school. At the high school level, the students are a little bit older, and we talk about current events. I mean, we deep dive the Constitution, and so when we're talking about current events, a lot of times students will straight up ask me, "Are they allowed to do that? Where in the Constitution, Mr. Wiley, are they allowed to do that?" And we'll open it up and we'll dive in there, and we can't find it. And they're like, "Well, why do they do it?" And then we'll talk about it, and I'll say, "I don't know." And they're, "Mr. Wiley, why don't you run? You seem to know the Constitution." And so I took them up on it. And so here we are. We're in the fourth quarter of the campaign, a little over a month away from early voting, and we're ready to make this thing happen. We're not in this race to finish second.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I like to hear this. The whole reason I started Common Sense with Curtis Scott was I call it the plandemic, and seeing what happened to our nation. And our nation was founded by our founding fathers on common sense. And I was reading the Common Sense pamphlet, and I was like, we've got to take our nation back to where it was originally intended to be going. And that's where I like to hear stuff like what you're talking about. So, but this is more about